Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Fire Talk Radio, episode 50. Tonight, we are going to see why China is moving a police station into New York. We're going to see the overall change of the Italian government, figure out why Wells Fargo is overstepping themselves, and good old poor Hunter Biden got himself in another pickle. This and more on Fire Talk Radio.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
This is Fire Talk Radio Podcast, and you can check us out on firetalkradio.com. You can email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail at 814-380-9820. You can always check us out live on YouTube and Rumble. Hit the like and subscribe button to find out when we go live, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting streaming platform.
You have such a beautiful voice, Ryan.
Flattery will not get you anywhere.
Hey, you know what? I forgot to put headphones on. So.
Headphones would be good. So, This is episode 50. Unfortunately, we were not live last week due to Jason had a scheduling conflict. So, we skipped last week. We're live this week. So, we're going to have some fun tonight.
A little bit of fun. So, I was at a wrestling tournament last week with hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I caught a virus. I don't think it's COVID. It seems more like a cold, but a really bad cold that has now been with me most of this week. And so I have very little voice. I'm coughing nasally, and probably not my peppy self like I always am.
Delicious. All right. This is episode 50. So it's been what, 2 weeks? All I can say is it's been entertaining in the world of in the world.
Well, every time there's a lot of shit that happens that we have to kind of boil down into what are we going to talk about in 2 hours.
I wanted to talk about Italy's government, possible soon-to-be government change, because
this is kind of a big deal. I mean, because you're seeing this not just in Italy, but you're starting to see this kind of elsewhere across Europe, where they're turning more to what us in the U.S. would consider conservative.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone earlier. We were talking about it. He goes, "Well, she's the daughter of a fascist." I said, "You cannot display what one person's family history is occurring to." Now, it would be like me calling all Democrats racist and slave owners,
right?
Which is not. I can't hold anybody's past to present, because
the sins of the father die with the father.
Yeah, so this will be the first regime change of Italy's prime minister, because they have been a democratic type,
more liberal,
to going conservative in a sense, where, I mean, her biggest talking point, which I thought was very interesting, that she is pro-birth, like
pro-birth and pro-family.
Yes, I mean, it wasn't even pro-life; it was pro-birth,
right?
And she was encouraging pure Italians to have more babies or the Italian bloodline basically was going to be obsolete. Um, I'm 1/4 Italian, and I I believe like the Italian way, especially the way food is, I think is one of the most unique things. Um, but Italy's got one of the longest histories in this world. You have from the Roman Empire to how most democracy governments work is based on how Rome
even
did
the
it.
Catholic Church in Rome,
Yeah.
basically controlling Europe and all of that. What's interesting, that people don't understand is when we think about elections in other countries, their elections are different than ours.
Oh yeah.
So ours is basically a side versus side election. Yeah, there's some third parties that get thrown in there, but for the most part, it's Democrat
it's
versus
either left or
Republican.
right.
Yeah. And I want to talk about in a little bit, because I've heard some arguments from both right and left about ranked voting, and I'm not sure about it yet.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
But she only won with 26% of the vote because they go on a purely democratic voting system, meaning you don't have to get 50% of the vote. You don't have to get 51%. You don't have to get a majority, or, you don't have to go through a primary. You throw your name in there. And if you get 10% of the vote, but everybody else between the other 25 people get 5%, you win.
Yeah.
So the question is that a better system? Being that, at least in our case, to put it mildly, Trump was never my first choice. I don't think he was really many people's first choice.
I appreciated Trump as in that he wasn't a politician.
Right. But I mean, as far as my first choice, or using the analogy coming up in the Michigan elections, Tudor Dixon was not my first, second, or third choice. There were 3 people that I would have voted for ahead of her, but she won. Now that she won, it's a binary choice. I have her or I have Whitmer.
You already know how Whitmer is.
Right. So it's a binary choice. So either Whitmer's going to win 50+% of the votes, or Dixon's going to win 50+% of the votes, give or take. Of course, there's going to be a third party in there that might suck off a percent or two. So it might be like 49% to 48%, whatever. But you're still looking at about half and half.
Yeah.
And at least with the half and half, like with Trump, when it came time for the general election, I looked at my choices. I had Trump, I had third party, or I had Democrat. And the way I look at it is, if I vote for a third party, since they're going to siphon off, that's going to be a vote siphoned off from the Republicans, that's not going to the Republicans, that's essentially giving that much weight to the Democrats. So that's where, when people say we live in a democracy, we don't. We don't live in a pure democracy. A pure democracy is closer to what Italy has, where anybody and everybody can throw their hat in, and whoever gets the highest percentage wins, even if it's a really low percentage of the actual population.
Yeah, there were seven groups. So you have the Italian left in green, third pole, Forenza Italia, league, 5-star monument, the Democratic Party, and then the final one is the Brothers of Italy. Brothers of Italy are the largest, or the conservative side. The last time they said Italy even had a conservative prime minister was back during World War II. So, I mean, that has to mean something right there. But people are looking at this. You have to think about it. With COVID and with everything going on, people are looking at their current government systems and like, whether it's working or not is the honest question. And that is where voting is the most important thing. Whatever country you're in, the United States, Australia, the UK, Russia, China, Japan, England, France, all over. If you feel that your government is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's time to start voting them out.
Right.
And
well, and COVID was, I think, a turning point because it's easy for a government, a bad government, to become complacent. Or actually, let me rephrase this. A government is going to show their true nature. A leader is going to show their true nature in the face of adversity. So when everything is going great, the economy is good, the people are happy, all of that, there's no real bad issues going on in the world. A bad leader is going to look pretty good because all they have to do are these happy things. We're going to build roads, we're going to build bridges, we're going to put up monuments, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing, make people happy. We're going to give out free healthcare. We're going to give out free money. We're going to give out this, and we're going to give you that, and we're going to give you all of that. It's when something goes bad that the true side of the leader shows. Again, in Michigan, the true side of Whitmer showed when she locked down the state and took total control until the Michigan Supreme Court finally slapped her and said, no, you can't do this. But it took months to get there. She took the power away from the legislative branch. She jailed barbers for cutting hair while she had a private barber come and cut hers, or a private stylist come and cut her hair. She
had to look pretty for when she went up on stage and giving those.
That was her excuse, yeah. She told us we weren't allowed to travel, yet she flew down to Florida. She told us we weren't allowed to go to...
DeSantis had no problem calling out those governors, too, and everybody that had those lockdown states, but yet everyone went to Florida where there was no lockdowns. And
right. And that's an example. In that same time, you had DeSantis. He showed his true colors, too. His true colors was, we're going to go towards freedom and let people mitigate their own risk, rather than the government trying to control everybody's lives. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of these places. Because don't forget, Italy got locked down harder than almost everybody. And even with all them lockdowns, they were still hit just as hard, if not harder, than any other country.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're seeing the same thing with California. Didn't California just have another lockdown or something recently? Because they had another quote unquote
it wouldn't
spike.
Surprise me if they did.
And
Gavin Newsom has no problem. And the thing is, I don't know why Gavin Newsom's going to feel the full authority of his own people when they decide to revolt against him.
I don't think they will. I think there's too many liberals that will walk lockstep with him no matter what.
Yeah.
He'll see it when he runs for president, and he has to gain more than New York and LA. Because don't forget, you can win California just by winning LA, Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County has more people than the state of Michigan or the state of Pennsylvania.
So what's funny about with Italy? So Nancy Pelosi made a comment. If the red wave were really true to come into Congress, she wanted to become a U.S. ambassador in Italy. She wants to leave the house. I'm like,
right? Doesn't
wow,
she have like
man,
something?
She
like
bought a house.
Yeah.
Yep, she bought a house in Italy, so she can go there. I'm like, we already see it. Nancy's already ready to abandon ship. Coming into the fall midterms. I don't even think she would even get reelected.
I don't know. I mean, San Francisco has definitely changed a bit, so who knows?
You still have the where did someone poop on the sidewalk app there. That's kind of gross.
Well, that's what you get when they basically say, hey, bring all your homeless and we're not going to do anything about it. You have people pooping on sidewalks because where are they going to go? It's a bodily function. And also, you have needles everywhere.
Yeah, right?
Like, don't walk around anywhere close to barefoot, not even like sandals, because you're going to get stuck with a needle.
And that's the thing. Is like I don't like shoes. I hate shoes. Like my feet are like completely calloused over. My wife makes fun of my feet so badly.
I'm just the opposite. I wear boots. I don't just wear shoes. I wear boots everywhere.
I wear sandals. I think 95% of my day, my life. If I go outside, I'm in sandals or I'm barefooted. And
it can be the middle of summer, 100 degrees out. I'm wearing hiking boots and long pants.
No, not me. The fat guy in me is like, it's too hot. I'm trying to be as bare as I can if I can be.
Right.
But so with the Italy soon to be regime change, so this is something I'll probably end up keeping an eye on and all. But I mean, everyone's calling her because she's a relative of was it Mussolini? And my thing is that's not, you shouldn't even think about that whatsoever. It's how is she going to bring Italy forward? And that is her whole objective here. Is her goal is to make Italy most likely the biggest tourist country again, because that's really what Italy really thrives on, is the tourism. Everyone coming to see Italy.
You know, what's amazing though is, like, you look at this article from NPR, and this whole article, we'll have it in the show notes, that the whole article points to her party's they put neo-fascist movements, that emerged, that she she grew up in a working class neighborhood that's better known for cultivating leftist activists than hard right politicians. The symbols pointing to the party's connections to the past. The party flag includes a tricolored flame that has a symbol of fascism in the early 20th. It's like, okay, rather than looking at what she's doing, because that's what she was voted on. She was voted for based on what she appealed to.
Yeah.
And she appealed to what appeals to a lot of people, a lot of Western culture, which is God, family, country. In that order. And that's what she appealed to. But this whole article from NPR is talking about her being fascist, without anything. Like they don't.
There's
even
nothing
point out,
backing that she's a fascist.
There's nothing backing that she's
because they are unfortunately coattailing on how the Democrat Party is in the United States. That they are saying most Republicans are fascists, and there's nothing ever proven that anyone who follows in the Republican or is a conservative is considered a fascist. The one person that was a true fascist, you have Stalin, you have Lenin, you have Hitler. Those were fascists. Those were pure evil.
right.
But the thing is that how is it a fascist when you're wanting to benefit your country, yourself? You want everyone to say,
Well,
hey, look at me.
She wants to limit illegal immigration into her country because they do have a big problem with illegal immigration from the Middle East, just like we do from the South. You know, that's not fascist. That's protecting your country. That's what the government is supposed to do. You know, I was just reading, fiscal year 2022 just ended, and for the United States, for the U.S.
Yeah.
And in that year, 2 million illegal immigrants came into the United States. 2 million across the border, the most ever in 1 year. Then, of that, that's only what they caught. They estimate another 600,000 made it through without being caught.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking 2.5 million people. And then the Biden administration, in their infinite wisdom, decided to give them smartphones with a tracking app so that they can check in and track at a cost of
if they wanted it.
$360,000 a day. And even ICE is saying that it was a total failure. Because, as Obama said, never underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up. Joe's capacity to fuck things up.
Man, you're not wrong there. I mean,
you know, rather than closing the border like Trump wanted to and saying, no, you're not coming in. We're going to deport you right away if you don't come in through a port of entry. We're going to seize you. We're going to figure out who you are, and we're going to send you back.
Uphold Title 42 and stay in Mexico until you're called up.
Right.
Someone behind a fence in New York was watching a video of a plane that came from Texas with nothing but immigrant girls, minors, to be, quote, given to their guardians or their sponsors.
That's creepy.
That just sounds. There was only 2 adults on the plane, and the rest were nothing but minor girls.
Right.
That just doesn't.
But the left wants to bag on DeSantis for, it was a political stunt. I'll admit that. We've been saying for him to do it for years. For them to do it for years, for shipping volunteer illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard.
That is the thing. I hope no one ever comes on. Oh, they forced them. Nope. He gave them an option, written consent, saying that you're doing this with a map, some money, a bagged lunch, and a free plane ticket to Martha's Vineyard.
And it only took Martha's Vineyard 42 hours to say, nope, get the hell out of here. You're brown and we don't like you.
Nope, 44 hours. It was 44 hours for the National Guard to come in to take them to the Joint Air Force Base.
I thought it was 42.
Nope. But it's not the point, though. Massachusetts is considered a sanctuary state. They are receiving federal funds.
Every town on Martha's Vineyard also in their charter said that they were a sanctuary township.
Correct. So they're receiving federal money to take care of those that are non-documented. Therefore, Massachusetts, I believe, should give back their federal money because they're a sanctuary state.
And definitely, Martha's Vineyard, that whole island, should give back anything that they received. I mean, talk about the hypocrisy of the left. And all they want to say is, well, he broke the law sending them up there. No, he didn't.
Well, we're talking about that. Then there was the bus ride for the immigrants from Texas to New York. So the mayor was putting up tent cities, right, for all the immigrants. Guess in whose district? AOC's. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got upset because she didn't want her constituents to look at illegal immigrants because it was not safe for them to be in tent cities close to her constituents. Our last show was called Hypocrisy, right?
Yeah, we can't use that one again.
But I mean, it's still going on. I mean, hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Ew, nope. Doesn't sound right. But being where we're at, so did you see what happened yesterday, though?
I've been sick the last few days. I haven't seen anything.
So Joe Biden is starting to, it looks like, to undo his 94 crime bill by pardoning all federally charged weed possessions.
Mind you, it's federally charged, so it doesn't have anything to do with
And he urges the states to do the same, to follow in suit for the state.
Now,
and then he's asking the justice system to reclassify marijuana. I really am very rare to say this. I actually agree with this. I really hope this all goes through. And because no one's seeing the bigger picture of what happens if he can reclassify it and it becomes federally legal. It helps out, all the states. All the states now are legal.
Well, it helps out that. It helps out the banking issues that a lot of states are having, a lot of growers and a lot of...
but it also helps out the states that are over-flooded with dispensaries because you can't go from state to state.
Right.
So think about it. Now, so as an example, Pennsylvania doesn't get many strains because the dispensaries are not equipped. But those dispensaries, the strains that most people are looking for, say, are in Michigan. Now,
because Michigan is flooded.
Yes, so now we can be able to transport. We can take a lot of the overages and be able to disperse them to give a better variety of what our people are looking for.
Well, and what it'll also do is it'll stabilize the industry because it is an industry now.
Yeah.
It'll stabilize the industry because you can't sell from state to state. You have some states like Michigan. I'll use this as an example that for a grower, I'm talking wholesale. I'm not talking, the buyer of it. The grower, a couple years ago, was getting, depending on the time of year, between $1,500 and $2,000 a pound.
Sure.
Now you're lucky if you get $600 a pound, which means that the only growers that can survive are the large produce growers that can afford these massive permits to grow thousands of plants, because now you're selling on volume, not on the price
Quality.
per pound.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you take, because a lot of growers in Michigan, up until recently, until they changed a lot of the laws after 2018, or 2020, sorry. A lot of the growers, what they did is they had licenses that they could grow what are known as micro grows, up to 100 plants at a time.
Yeah.
Well, you take a single person can have their own farm on 1 acre of land. Say it's in, a barn or something like that, and they can grow 100 plants in there, or maybe 50 plants or something like that, and be able to get 10, 15 pounds out of it. Not a huge amount, but at $2,000, up to $2,000 a pound, you're making money and at least able to support yourself. You're not making millions, but you're able to support yourself like if you were another normal job.
Sure.
But at $600 a pound, now you're talking, you put in 4 months, 5 months of work into this, because you're only getting paid every, 4 or 5 months or however your rotation is.
Yeah.
You're not making as much. You're not even making ends meet when it comes to, things like the soil and the electricity and all that stuff. By selling it now, take that and take Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania doesn't have the same laws as Michigan. And the last time I looked online, I think it was still right around $1,300 to $1,500 a pound.
Yeah. Something about that.
Okay. You take a state that it's illegal. I'm not advocating for selling illegally, but a state that's illegal still might be selling for $2,500, $3,000 a pound. So
because the risk, you have the risk factor right there.
Right. So what it ends up doing is then you take all these people that are trying to grow legitimately and sell legitimately, going, I can't make ends meet in my state. Either I need to close down or I need to go this black market route.
I mean, or you could be like that guy in Michigan that had a vending machine.
Yeah.
I will give that guy a lot of credit. We talked about him like a couple of months ago. That was interesting. But you got to think if it does it federally across the board, that means the federal government will have to come up with the standards. So so then you're going to have more jobs for transport jobs. Farmers can actually start growing hemp again. So those that
now hemp
little
has
history
been federally legalized.
Yes, but it is harder to get a license to grow hemp in large quantities, where if it's now all legal, it'll be easier to grow.
Right.
So history lessons. So during the great move from the East Coast to the West Coast during the gold rush, hemp was actually America's cash crop.
Yes.
Until the war on drugs, and they just took it all away.
Yep.
But Levi, for one, used to make all their jeans out of hemp. Hemp has one of the greatest uses, because
it's a strong fiber. It's a strong fiber, is what it is. It's
until the chemical induce of the THC is introduced into hemp, there's really nothing to it.
Well, basically what hemp is it's the males.
Yeah.
So, cannabis is one of the few plants that is bisexual, not bisexual, opposite sex. One is a female, one is a male. A lot of plants will have both female and male, and they pollinate themselves. But cannabis has female and male, and if you stress it correctly, you can get hermaphrodites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's how you get these cross strains. Is they say, hey, I like what this is doing. Let me grow a male version of this, and let me put it in right next to a female version of this other plant and shake them up and let them pollinate each other. Well, the males have the pollen, but they don't have the THC. The THC is in the female because the THC initially, or what botanists believe, is that it was a defense mechanism. Which I don't understand, because in order for THC to become activated, you have to heat it. So I don't know how it defended itself with it, but.
Well, I mean, ask the Indians. I mean, they had their sweat lodges and their peace pipes.
They heated it.
Yeah.
It has to be heated up to activate. But hemp is the male version of that. In fact, there are I think there's still some court proceedings going on in Oregon, because out in Eastern Oregon, there's huge hemp farms.
Oh, yeah.
There's also huge marijuana farms, legal marijuana farms. The problem is the wind blows. So you have,
I mean, as wind should do, it should blow.
Right. So what happened is you had some outdoor marijuana farmers that were like miles away from the hemp farmers, but the wind blew the pollen and it pollinated, as plants would do. Or maybe mosquitoes or bugs or whatever pollinated them.
Sure.
And so the marijuana farmers are suing the hemp farmers for damages. I'd have to look up to see if that's still going on and what the verdict actually ended up being.
Yeah, that makes no sense, but okay. I mean, I would think the hemp farmers would sue the marijuana farmers since it ruined the hemp.
No, it ruins the marijuana, not the hemp.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, this is I will give Biden is moving in one step in the good direction in his presidency. I am not saying he is someone I'm going to go out and be like, yes. I'm going to be like, wow, you finally moved the ball into the other court.
Yeah, well,
fantastic.
There's another take on this.
I ran for president. No one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana.
Then it's kind of weird you chose a VP who's responsible for sending more people to prison for minor drug offenses like possession of marijuana than any other prosecutor in the history of California. Not to mention old Joe here claims to have written the 94 crime bill, which led to the imprisonment of more people for minor drug offenses like possession of marijuana than any other time in our entire country's history. So you elected the lady who locked up more people in California for marijuana possession than at any other point in the state's history, and elected the guy who locked up more people for marijuana possession across the country than at any time in our history. And the sad thing is, these fucking idiots they're giving a pardon to will probably not only vote for the party that locked them up, but also the actual motherfuckers who are responsible for them being in prison. If you are in prison because of her or because of the bill he claims to have written, and your pardon allows you to vote, and you vote for the motherfuckers who put you in prison, you must be smoking something stronger than weed.
Yeah.
I sent you that. Yeah, no, I was getting ready to say, I was like, I know there's a video somewhere. He's not wrong. That guy's not wrong whatsoever.
That's the whole thing. Is I don't think this was Biden's choice. I think this was a promise that he had to make in order to get some people to vote for him. And then he got to a point where it's like, oh shit, we need to do something. We're coming up on a midterm that we're going to lose.
Oh yeah.
let's throw everything at. So I'm not going to give.
Let's get a shit ton of people out of prison for something that they should have never been in prison for, so they can vote for us.
Right. So the thing is this is. I don't think this has any altruistic value on Biden.
Oh no.
At all.
It's a ploy. It's a very good fucking ploy. I will give it that. And it is sad that it took, I need to get votes to do something like this. That should have been done years ago.
Right. I mean, the thing is it took this long to get to the point that the federal government had to pay attention, because when it was just California and just Colorado that legalized.
But that's the thing. That was sad, though. States had to go out their own way. They're basically defying the federal government's law.
And the other thing, too, was while that was going on, the federal government was still raiding dispensaries.
Yeah.
So it's legal in the state. It literally went by the whim of the president to say, no, we're not going to enforce marijuana laws in these states. They legalized it. We're just going to let them be. But even Biden, for a number of years, his DOJ was raiding.
I thought about something. If they fully federally legal it,
or Obama, sorry. Yeah.
If they federally legal it, does that mean we get to trade weed with Canada?
Doubt it.
Why wouldn't it?
Well,
think about all the strains they have. They would work something out. I bet you, because there'd be shit ton of money. I want some Canada weed. All of a sudden, I want to go get some Canada weed.
Just don't go to the dispensaries and get that piece of crap weed. Just, because they, at least here in Michigan, they all buy them from these big giant conglomerate places that don't have any like quality control or anything like that. If you're going to, get it from either a local dispensary that grows their own and doesn't buy elsewhere, or get it from well, if you can grow it yourself, but if you can't, get your card and get a somebody to grow it for you. Like in Michigan, we have caretakers, and I was at for a while where there was people that weren't able to grow their own and needed it, because it actually does. Contrary to what I think a lot of pharmacists believe, anecdotally, I found that a lot of people that use it, some use it just because they want to get high, but others use it for pain or for issues sleeping, mental issues, stuff like that. So, I became a caretaker, and they knew what they were getting from me. I knew what was going in. I knew that they weren't getting anything bad. I knew that, what they were getting was high quality, all of that. When you go to a dispensary, it's kind of like when you go to, buy something off Amazon and hope it's not or Wish. It's like going to Wish and hoping that you're not buying, it's all junk from China that, is mass produced, and you're hoping that, it's halfway decent quality.
You're not wrong there. I mean, Wish is a special kind of place. But so with weed, we're gonna see what happens in the end. So sorry, one of my newsfeed things came up on my phone. I was trying to figure out what was
all right.
going on.
My mom is texting me right now because her iPhone updated, and she said she lost all her contacts. And I'm like, well, shouldn't your contacts be on iCloud? Well, I don't know. Well, are you saving them on iCloud? Are you saving them on Google? How do I check this? I'm like, I'm in the middle of a podcast. I can't walk you through.
Right. I'm busy. Leave me alone. So the whole Ukraine thing, because we're going to get into that. So Ukraine, we've given Ukraine almost what, $12 billion now?
I don't know. It's a lot of money.
Obscene amount of money. And then they're applying to be part of the UN now.
Didn't this all start because they were applying to be a part of the UN?
Yes. And we said no. Like, the United States voted no the first time around. But we had no problem sending them drones and missiles and money and guns and volunteers. The United States sent volunteers to help them.
Yeah.
So then there's the Nordstream Pipeline. Okay, so for all those that don't, we're gonna run down this rabbit hole. So we canceled the Keystone Pipeline. The same time Joe Biden backed the Nord Stream Pipeline.
Now,
but you have to remember, Trump wanted the Keystone and then stopped Putin from completing the Nord Stream one.
Right.
He sanctioned them to death, so they couldn't do it. So, and then because Trump, we all remember the great comment that Trump made at the UN when he said, we need to do something about this sooner enough where Germany's just going to be dependent on Russia.
Mm-hmm. Didn't take long for that to happen.
And everyone thought Trump was joking. And the problem is that when we all heard it, we were like, really? And then as you saw shit play out, you're like, he saw the chess moves before anybody else.
Yeah.
Trump and Putin have been playing strategic chess moves piece by piece when Trump was in office. But he was doing just enough to keep Putin from crossing that middle line.
Biden's too stupid to play chess. Putin's playing.
I don't even think he's playing checkers.
Yeah, Biden can't even figure out the checker pieces.
I think he's playing backgammon and losing. I think he has all his pieces on the one side of the board that he's not supposed to be on.
He's just moving the one piece back and forth.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening here. So I sent you a clip. Play the clip real quick as we're going to get into the Nord Stream pipeline.
All right. Give me 1 second to load it. No, what I was going to say, though, while I'm loading this is that people need to remember the pipeline in the U.S., you keep saying Nord Stream, so I have that on. Keystone, thank you. The Keystone XL. That is getting crude oil from Canada, from North America, sending it down to the refineries in the Gulf.
Yep.
Now, we're still sending that oil down to the refineries in the Gulf. But instead of sending it through a pipeline, we are driving it.
Which is taking longer.
Which
costs more money.
It puts diesel. So if they really care about the environment and global warming, how much is this potentially adding to global warming, having to ship all of this oil rather than putting it through a pipeline? that literally uses pressure to send it hundreds of miles.
Because the thing is, by the way they're shipping it, they're not getting the amount they would get with the pipeline, because they estimated with the pipeline they were going to get 800 million barrels a day out of the pipeline. That would restore our strategic, because if you don't realize, we have no more oil in our strategic.
It sort of would. So don't forget the crude that comes from Canada is not the sweet crude that we have down south.
Correct.
So when you refine it, it doesn't make as much gasoline, petroleum.
But you also have to remember,
a lot of other byproducts with it.
The oil is, gasoline is a byproduct of them making plastics out of the oil. So the oil is making the plastics. What's left over is what they're using.
Well, it's
to make
gasoline,
fuel,
kerosene, diesel, all of that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the amount that comes out of it isn't as high. I want to say it's like 2/3 or something of what sweet oil is.
Understandable, but the thing is,
but with the volume and the fact that they can replenish it really fast without having to truck them down at a regular pace, it costs less and it's better on the environment. So let me play this clip and then we'll talk some more.
She makes a comment that never sits well.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will. I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Dun dun dun.
So
now you want to get to the crux of what we're talking about?
Yeah. So the Nordstream Pipeline was pinched off in 3 different positions. So it was It was taken out in 3 different spots. 2 of them being underwater in the Baltic. So Russia is saying that the UN sabotaged. The UN is saying Russia did it to themselves to cause an excuse to invade Ukraine even more. But the theory is, the way Biden made that comment is that we did it.
Right. That doesn't look good. And
I will 100% not doubt whatsoever that we didn't have our United States Navy members not in the Baltic Sea right there, waiting for the fucking thumb up to go and do something. Because they came out and said they found detonation marks on the pipe underwater. So, did we plant C4? Did we hit it with a torpedo? I honestly 100% don't think Russia would have blown up their own pipeline, especially when it was a bargaining chip.
Right. That was the thing. That was their bargaining chip, because at one point, Germany and Europe were getting 40, 50%, 40%, I think it was, of their energy from Russia through those pipelines. And Russia all but cut them off and used it as a bargaining chip, saying, hey, we'll turn it back on if you concede to what we want. Now, they don't have that bargaining chip anymore.
My thing is that Russia's already prepared for nuclear war.
I think that's the thing right now. That's
because Russia's nuclear sub that is armed with nuclear weapons is no longer at its docking station.
Well, and then
nobody knows where this sub is.
Administration that is buying up nuclear fallout medication, basically like iodine and stuff like that, radiation and then, if I don't have it in front of me, Biden said that we're the closest to a nuclear war as we have been during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm sorry, this is all because of this fucker in the White House. Because he does not understand diplomacy with other countries, especially countries you don't particularly like. Reagan was good at this. Trump, though people hated him, was good at this. And it was that.
And we've said this before. Trump needed to have someone take away his goddamn cell phone from him.
Yeah.
But that was
but
the thing.
Thing is so Reagan had this speak softly, carry a big stick, like what Teddy Roosevelt used to say. All right. He had that. And that's how.
But yet, fucking Reagan had everybody. He kept talking about Star Wars. Reagan was always talking about his Star Wars project. And everyone kept looking for satellites. Everyone kept looking for the infamous death laser in the sky. Not fucking paying attention. Reagan doubled the size of the United States military.
Right.
And it was like, wait, where'd all you fuckers come from? And it was like, ha, made you look. And it was like.
And then you had Trump. One of the things about Trump is you didn't know what the hell he was thinking or what he was doing.
That was the thing, is that you don't fuck with someone unpredictable.
Right. But Biden has shown time and time and time again that he is predictable and he's incompetent. And he's going to go overboard on whatever he does and fuck it up. He showed that last year at this time with the retreat out of Afghanistan. That's what it was. It was a retreat. Even though we were winning.
Look at what's going on with OPEC. So,
oh God, OPEC.
OPEC
10 million barrels that he's now. How long will 10 million barrels last?
Well, no, I mean, it's been proven that the strategic oil reserve is almost empty.
It's the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah, so Biden's like, oh, fine, you don't want to give us our oil? Fine, we're pulling out. We're not going to stop Iran from, like, evaporating you all. And I'm like, Trump, in less than 6 months, brokered 6 peace treaties in the Middle East. And just because Biden didn't get his way, he's boo-hoo, I'm going to pull out. No.
He's a pissy, whiny little... That's all he's ever been his entire life. Look at the whole history of Biden. All he's been is a pissy little pissant. I don't know what else.
He has no room to talk of why we're in the state we are. Because right when he came in, with the magic of a fucking pen, he got rid of Keystone Pipeline. All now and future oil leases. No more offshore leases.
Plus, his EPA has put so many restrictions on refineries that I want to say 5 of them had to shut down, which accounts for over 1 million barrels of refined gas a day.
My thing is, they're all worried about the earth and wanting to be green. And fine, I understand that. But the problem is that the infrastructure that you want isn't here, isn't set up yet. You know what they could do? Because the United Nations came out and said nuclear energy is green energy now.
Right.
Fucking turn on the goddamn reactors.
Oh, if they turn the reactors in the U.S. and built more reactors, we would be completely independent of almost all, because don't forget, most of our energy comes from natural gas and diesel.
Fucking Pennsylvania has an island called 1 Mile Island. Turn the fucking reactors back on, and it will fucking light up the whole eastern seaboard.
Right.
Fucking California's got 2 nuclear reactors. Turn them on.
And you know what's funny is everyone's so worried about like nuclear, spilling and all this stuff. The fucking nuclear, the water that comes out of it, the steam that
is the cleanest, safest water you could ever ask for.
The radioactive material can fit into like a 2x2 box, each bar, and they bury it like 5 miles deep.
Yeah, so you want the green energy, you want the Green New Deal, you want that plan, turn on the reactors. Go green. Literally.
But you're not gonna, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it from the sun. You're not going to get it from wind. Yeah, they're great supplementals. Again, I have
that's the thing.
They're on my house.
They are supplementals.
Right.
Right.
They're supplementals. They're on our house. Now, here's something that is going on in my area that I just found out. As of next summer, the power plant that is a diesel plant.
Closing?
They're going wind.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
And a lot of the people I talked to said that the amount of energy that we use, they're going to have to have brownouts during the summer in order to make up for people running their air conditioning, because the wind doesn't blow 90 miles an hour all the time.
Oh, so you guys are going to be like California.
Yeah. Thanks to our, great governor and the people in my
I think
county.
the only nuclear reactor that's still online is the one in Texas. And it covers the whole fucking state, like power-wise.
No, most of the state is wind and natural gas.
All right, then Texas needs to turn their power grid back on.
It might cover a portion of it, but that was the problem they had during that big storm. Was that it not only froze the wind, but the natural gas. That's the wind. The wind was a supplement to the natural gas. Well, the natural gas, because of the stuff freezing and all of that, couldn't pass through fast enough to make up.
That was a fluke.
That
Texas
was a 1 in 100
never
year.
gone through that, and that was a terrible moment.
Well, and they didn't design those wind turbines like they design them up here in Michigan, where we do get sub-zero temperatures. In fact, they're building them right out in the middle of Lake Huron and Lake Michigan, where not only are they getting sub-zero temperatures, but they're getting wet sub-zero temperatures.
There was a let me see if I can find it, a thing for this underwater hydro turbines.
Oh yeah, that use currents.
They're put in the ocean and they use currents to generate the electricity. That would actually be better than wind turbines.
Yeah, because it's constant.
Yeah.
again, the problem with wind is that it's not constant, which means you have to have massive battery storage. Same thing with solar. Solar only works when the sun is out. So right now, my solar panels aren't doing jack shit. But so now what a lot of people are around me are doing in preparation for this, they're buying them auto generators that are connected to natural gas line.
Yes.
So that when you get the brownouts, it detects when the voltage is dropping and supplements it with your natural gas. So basically, we're becoming our own independent house.
But they were talking about closing. I was reading something not that long ago. They were talking about closing that pipeline that goes through Michigan for the natural gas.
Yeah, line 5. Yep, they closed it.
So
I got nothing to say for that. That's another Whitmer bullshit.
So an article for the hydro turbine came out from the World Economic Forum talking about how hydro turbines are clean energy, but they're afraid of sharks destroying them.
Yeah. Well, shark, sea life, stuff getting caught in them riptides.
Yeah. But it would be able to generate a state sustaining energy.
Well, it's
and
if the current is strong enough and you make it big enough, I mean, it'd be like Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
That basically generates enough electricity for all of Las Vegas. That's clean energy. Pending you have water. Now, if they ever get to the point where they don't have water.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Like I said, my suggestion is to turn on the nuclear reactors again.
Yes.
And just fucking call it a day.
It's zero carbon emissions. As long as we don't build it like they did at Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
Which everything about Chernobyl was wrong. 1, they built it in like no time at all. 2, they didn't cool them with water. They cooled them with, I think, lead or something like that. They used something else, some other alloy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be water. They've proven water is the best way to keep those rods.
Or even look at Fukushima. You know what the fallout was from Fukushima? Nothing. You know why? Because they were designed so that there was no fallout. So even if there is a meltdown, there's no fallout.
I was just saying Japan had that fallout, had that meltdown, but yet no one seriously injured or anything like that.
Well, the one person that ran in and do something or other, save people or something like that.
Yeah. But they're working on getting that power plant actually back up and going again. Which we could go over and learn how they fucking did it and implement it here in the States.
You put one nuclear plant in the middle of every state, we'd have a power grid that we could charge all of the electric vehicles. Maybe two power plants in some of the bigger states like California.
Yeah. Pennsylvania's got 3 or 4 on Mile Island.
But what I'm saying is rather than having, for the most part, you have to have a power plant per county.
Oh, yeah.
At the rate it is now. And if people get electric cars, everybody gets electric cars. The power
I'm not
grid
getting an
can't
electric
sustain
car.
that.
Fuck that. I mean,
I'll get it when the price comes down and it's worth.
My thing is, an electric car can be controlled. Look what happened. I mean, they can lock you out of it. just cuz. And it's like,
OnStar can lock my wife out of her car.
no, yeah.
So
I
actually,
know.
I think I
But
have OnStar on mine too. I just didn't
I
never
have
activated it.
Uconnect on mine. I like it.
But I mean, any car with a computer and GPS and that,
Yeah.
with satellite uplink can do that. The thing is no, I do think electric vehicles, they have better torque, they have better handling, they have, there's a lot of advantages to them. The big disadvantage is the mileage. Because if you're talking, I can only travel 200 or 300 miles, but I have to charge it up for 12 hours. That basically that's fine if you're just driving to work and back. But if you're driving cross country, you're going on a trip, you're going someplace, like I drove down to Ohio from Michigan for a wrestling camp. Where I was at, I would have had to have found a charging station. I would have had to have sat in my car the entire time at that charging station.
Take a nap. That's what I would have done.
Would have been a long ass nap. And then it would have maybe got me, because I want to say it was right around the 300 mark. So it might have gotten me there. Now, if they can get the mileage up to maybe 600 miles between charges and make the charges faster, like at home on a regular, 220, it takes like, maybe 4 or 5 hours, but on one of them quick charges, it takes 20 minutes. That's different, because there's been many a times I've waited 20 minutes at the gas station to get gas. Most of the time I just drive right in, get my gas, and I'm out.
The ultimate problem is the battery. So the battery is the issue. The problem is that getting those batteries is worse for the environment than getting fuel for a combustion engine. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I know we're trying to come up with solutions here, but the big thing right now, as they're learning in California, where they're telling them not to plug in their cars, is that the power grid cannot handle it.
Well, no, they can't plug in their car. It's either you can't plug in your car, or you can't turn your air conditioning below 78. And I'm like, fuck you, bitches.
Yeah.
I love those TikToks. Like, what rights are you losing that I don't get in California? I was like, I could turn my air conditioner down to 66
I love that person walks
degrees.
up and turns it down.
I was like, yeah.
But that, like I say, that's the thing, is, I think electric vehicles is the future. I don't think we're there yet, nor do I think the government should be forcing people.
I want my flying car. I want my Jetsons flying car.
Didn't we go over this a while ago that George Jetson was born this year?
Yep.
Yeah. I want my hoverboard. That was supposed to be 2015.
Yeah, I didn't want the outfit though. I can tell you that. There was some.
I don't know, the self-lacing shoes and the self-sizing coat. That's kind of
with a built-in air dryer.
Air dryer in it. Yeah. That'd come in handy.
But then I would want my flying car. I want my flying car.
That runs on garbage.
That runs on garbage.
Because, you know why it runs on garbage? If you looked at it, it has a mini nuclear reactor inside.
Kind of makes sense. So,
wait, do you remember the movie Double Dragon?
Unfortunately, I do remember the movie from Double Dragon, yes.
Didn't their cars also run on garbage?
Yes.
And that took place in like 2010, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Let me look up what year Double Dragon took place. Oh God. Did movie. Because I know
So-
there was one where the guy was talking about the riots of, such and such year, and we're almost coming up to what's the Sylvester Stallone movie where he's frozen? Demolition Man. We're almost
Demolition
coming up to
Man.
that year where Taco Bell owns everything.
And you can't swear, you get a fine for it.
That is sounding more and more like it might come true. You can't say certain things.
I'm not going to the seashell. No. I need my toilet paper. I am not working the seashells.
I still never figured out the seashells. Someone tried explaining it online that one is to scoop and then the other one is to scoop the other side and then the third one is to, I don't know, sneeze in or something. Yeah, that just sounds rough.
There's actually in Google how to use the seashells in Demolition Man.
Okay. Are you going to tell us?
Yeah. Actually, Sandra Bullock is going to tell me. Okay, so the seashells are like chopsticks. You use two to gently to pull off whatever's there, and then the third one is to
Yeah, that ain't going to
be
help
the
me.
last. Yeah, no,
There ain't
I'm
nothing
going to
that-
swear to get fines and then wipe my ass with the fines.
There's no pulling anything with me.
No.
That's a whole lot of information I didn't need to let out.
Yep, nope, I'm good. Yep, that's a no for me. But while you're doing that, let's talk about some Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo's overstepping their bounds, huh?
Yeah, I'm still looking up New Angeles. It takes place in 2007.
Oh, we've already passed that then.
It took place in New Angeles in 2007.
All right, so for all those lovely ladies that wanted to do OnlyFans, don't have a Wells Fargo bank account.
Well, from the sounds of it, it's other banks are doing the same thing or possibly doing the same thing.
Or are in coordination of possibly doing the same thing, but right now it's just Wells Fargo. So even though these are quote legal sex workers, they're doing it on OnlyFans or whatever. If they discover how the deposits are coming in, they are flagging your account and
basically
telling you and closing it.
Yeah, they're flagging them as high risk accounts, which I'm not understanding how they're high risk. It says, according to the Daily Beast, the adult industry is labeled a high risk industry, causing many banks to not want to do business. Usually, account removals resolve around actual risk, not assumed risk. This is an issue the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, which regulates banking, is aware of. On January 14, 2021, the Office of the Comptroller announced its finalized rule to ensure fair access to banking. And this could have changed the way that banks were allowed to treat legal sex workers. Adult workers were faced occupational discrimination from the banking industry since, quote, Operation Choke Point was put in place. This policy, blocking banking access for high-risk accounts, affected performers, even those workers who didn't violate banking policies or accounting rules. Performers and adult businesses have famously lost bank accounts from institutions such as Bank of America, Citibank, PayPal, Square, and Chase. The rule codifies more than a decade of OCC guidance stated that banks should conduct risk assessment of individual customers rather than making broad-based decisions that affect whole categories or classes of customers. Basically, they need to look at their capital and their credit and that type of stuff. However, I need to look down further. I'm going to summarize. So they were going to do that, and that was set to take place in 2021 from the old comptroller. When Biden got in, he put in a new comptroller who put a freeze on all of that and said, we will look into this later. Rather than just saying, yeah, this is already in place, it's going to go into effect. So because of that, banks can basically discriminate against OnlyFans and Fansly and all these other sites because they want to. There's nothing illegal that they're doing, but banks can discriminate against them.
Who cares? A bank is supposed to be where you put your money. And I mean, unless you're in China where they just don't want you to get your money out of the bank and they lock you out of it.
That's
feels like the episode of it feels like that scene in Mary Poppins where they're trying to people they can't get their money out of the bank and they're trying to shut all the doors.
Oh yeah. That's exactly. I mean, the thing is this is again because Biden has to change everything that Trump did. This was another one that Trump did something really good. I don't care if you agree with these online sex workers like OnlyFans or not. To me, they're legal. What they're doing is legal. Therefore, they should get paid and they should be able to put their money in a bank.
I mean, if you want to pay for it, then pay for it. That is your choice.
Right.
In the world of free porn, if you want to go out and take your hard-earned money and pay for it, then that's your choice. Here's from the article, Alanya Evans. Did I hit the sound? No.
Probably not.
Good job, me. Yep, that's what I forgot to do.
You do this every episode, too.
I do it at least once. I do it at least once.
I got a letter today.
But she's not the only one that got the same letter.
From Fargo. Wells Fargo performs ongoing reviews of its account relationships in connection with the bank's responsibilities to manage risks in its banking operations. We reviewed your account relationship, and as a result of this review, we will be closing your above referenced accounts. The accounts are expected to close by October 13th, 2022, or you may contact the bank to initiate closure at an earlier date.
Which is next week.
The decision is final. The bank reserves the right to close the subject accounts sooner than then if circumstances arrive that warrant an earlier closing. Also, be aware that some circumstances may delay the closure of your accounts. But there's no reason why. I've been with Wells Fargo since 1993. I remember getting my Wells Fargo account. I was young. I had a baby.
Well, now she's going to her life story if I really don't care. But, I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, there's no they're not giving her an absolute reason why they're doing it. They're just like,
that's the thing.
oh.
In fact, they even tried giving her the runaround. It wasn't until she posted that video and more people from her industry got on and said, yeah, they did the same thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what they did is they said, oh, look, you're getting a check from this company that we know is tied with OnlyFans. There's nothing wrong with the check. The money is there. It's not illegal. It's not drug money. I'm assuming you're paying taxes, but even if you're not getting taxes taken out ahead of time, it's up to you to pay taxes on a quarterly basis. What does the bank have to do with any of that? And the problem that I have with this goes back to the marijuana thing. Even if federally they decriminalize or change it from a Schedule 1 to which, how the hell did it ever become a Schedule 1? Like it's right up there with cocaine. I think cocaine's a 2 actually. Here, either way.
No, it's the same classification under heroin.
But even if they drop it down and make it legal, the banks still can say, no, we're not taking your money. The federal government can still freeze your accounts. The banks can still freeze your accounts because they can say you're high risk. Now, how is that high risk to them? No clue. Because high risk, hypothetically, even if it's a criminal, that's putting their money in a bank. Okay, say I'm selling drugs on the street corner and I get $10,000 and I take that $10,000 and I put $10,000 in a bank. Where is the high risk to the bank?
No.
Where's the risk to the bank at all?
No. You know, I mean, I understand where the bank's coming from. They're like, we don't know where this money came from. But the thing is,
but they do know. It came from an actual company with an LLC and a payroll.
No, I understand that. And so, I mean, the thing is, sex work is the oldest profession of the United States.
Of the world.
The world. You know, it's still, so you all know, in the state of Pennsylvania, it is a law still under the books. 200 pounds of silver to get your brothel license.
I want to see how much that actually costs nowadays. 200 pounds, you said?
200 pounds of silver. We're converting silver to money now.
Yes. Okay. Silver price. Okay. I'm going to coinsapp.com. We know that they have to be legitimate.
Sure.
200. All right. Oh, not as much as I thought. Right around $60,000.
So that'd be interesting to do. Bring a check for $60K up to the and apply for your brothel permit.
But up until recently, Pennsylvania had the age of consent was 7.
Yeah, no, we're not talking.
Well, now
about
it's
that.
18,
Just,
but
yeah,
at one point it was 7.
Yeah, no, that's a creepy law. Just like calling pedophiles maps, that's never gonna fucking happen.
Did you see on TikTok people saying that they wanted make it like men against pedophiles or something like that? And
yeah, it was moms against pedophiles, and then a lady came out and said, "No, we're gonna make it men versus pedophiles, men against pedophiles." I'm like, you damn right, because any father.
I'm sorry, I'm still not putting that in a profile saying I'm a map.
No,
like,
no.
Like, I'm taking it back.
We are not Randall from Clerks.
Exactly.
We are not taking it back.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, that's a good thought, but you know what? Still not getting on board
I mean, I understand where you're going with it. I really do. I understand where you're going with it, because
I'm just gonna avoid that thing completely. Like,
they already twisted that phrase, and it's not a phrase. It's not an acronym. We need a new acronym. That's it. Need a new acronym. But it is what it. I mean,
ostracizing pedophiles. No, mop.
I'm gonna introduce a pedophile to a pig farm.
Okay.
Because I don't think pigs will.
They eat everything but the teeth.
Yeah, they don't judge.
I think that was on. Wasn't that on Fargo or something?
Something like that.
I heard that somewhere.
They don't judge. They just eat whatever's in their bucket. But I would banking. I mean, Wells Fargo is up there with Bank of America as some of the worst banking policies ever created.
The thing is, I've been with big national banks. I've had to be because of where I lived, and there wasn't. I won't go with big national banks. I think my home loan is through one, but that's because somehow it got sold 4 different times, and that's where I ended up.
Mine's with a small bank, small local bank, and it's fantastic. I'm happy with that. On the flip side, I know we talked about Trump earlier. We're going to talk about Trump real quick. He's deciding to sue CNN for $475 million for defamation.
Yeah, about
and slander.
Prove his big lie and wants CNN.
It's not just that, but yeah, that's part of it. He's talking about like all the times when he was in office and they would edit his clips.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not a lawyer, but I have taken some law classes.
Sure.
How did he convince lawyers to file this? Because I don't see this going anywhere. I don't see a judge.
Well, you got to look at what the state of New York does. The state of New York just throws it at the wall and sees what happens.
Well, that's what the AG of New York does with Trump. She's like, "Hey, we're going to throw it this week. We're going to throw this at him and see if this works."
Yeah, no.
What was the latest thing the AG charged him with?
Overappraising his properties.
That's what it was. Yes, he somehow.
But the thing is, he can't appraise his fucking properties. The bank appraises the properties.
Here's the thing. I'd love to be able to tell the bank my property is worth $1 million and give me a loan, for that.
Right?
I'd love to be able to do that.
My house is worth blah dollars. You need to give me a refinance check for that amount.
Right.
No.
The bank is
Fuck
going to send
you.
someone out. They're going to look at everything. They're going to look at the tax documents. They're going to look at all of that. And they're going to go, it's actually worth this.
Right? So, I'm not saying anything's going to come from his lawsuit, but it is funny the fact that he's finally going after CNN for all the fucking bullshit that they have done during his presidency. We'll see what happens, really. But the thing is, like we said earlier, the reason why no one really fucked with Trump is that he was really unpredictable. You didn't know what he was going to do next.
Well, that is the one thing about him with the lawyers and everything. If you have money, you can sue people.
Oh, yeah.
The reason me and you don't sue people regularly that piss us off is because we don't have the money to throw away when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but a lot of times big companies, they just want lawsuits to go away. So I don't know what they'll do. Right, a retraction, payout, something. But
I mean, fucking CNN's about to fucking close anyways, right? I mean, who watches CNN anymore?
I don't know. Since I've been substituting, I'm noticing that a lot of the schools had played their 10-minute kids version of CNN every day in class.
Oh.
I mean, it's not like they don't talk about, at least the ones that I've been in, they don't talk about anything political or anything. They talk about like, here's the, what a hurricane is, and this is the hurricane that's hitting Florida. And,
Fort Myers of Florida looked like it almost got erased from the map of Florida.
Did you see the clip of the shark swimming up the street?
Yes.
That was creepy. And then there was another one where the person was in their house and there was an alligator in their house.
At their door?
Yep. No, it was actually in their kitchen, the one I saw.
Oh. And I love the one picture of the guy inside their house, and they have their big bay window, and you see the water about like 75% away. I was like, you know what? That's a housing commercial right there. I make windows that are hurricane proof.
I make windows that hold back the ocean.
Like
think about
and
this.
Then,
so you had what was it? Star Wars, the new one, Obi-Wan. The Obi-Wan where he's holding back the water with the Force. And people are online were talking about how strong he must be with the Force to be able to hold back that much water. That fucking window held back water.
Yeah, right. What was it? Another oh no, someone was down by the bay, by the ocean. They're like, oh, there's no water in the bay. It's like, you need to run.
Yes.
Nope. You need to run. You need to stop videotaping. You need to go. Because it may be that far out. It's got to come back. And it's going to come back fast.
I told you about the time I was out when I worked for the TV station. We got caught in a tornado, didn't I?
Think so.
Yeah. So we were out there and we were filming, and all of a sudden everything got eerily like quiet, like there was no wind at all.
Yeah, that's when you run. That is the moment.
Our meteorologist who was out there with us is like, all of a sudden, like the hair started standing up on him, and he like looks down at a computer screen and he's like, we need to go now.
Yep. No, that is your moment of that you're
tornadoes do hit the same place twice.
Yes, that is the one. And like the Fort Myers Bridge was devastated, like washed out. What happened in Florida was, and the thing is, I'll have to find it. Or you can find it on what our great vice president made a comment about we need to give equity to the state of Florida.
Yes.
She made a natural disaster a racial problem.
So I have something from TikTok. I like this guy. He's really good at explaining stuff.
So the aid for the victims of Hurricane Ian is going to be given out based on race? Oh, no, that's not what I say. That's what the vice president said. She said Hurricane Ian aid will be based on equity. And just in case you were wondering what she meant by that, communities of color would be the first in line for relief. Apparently, we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity. Now, y'all know there's an easy test to figure out if something's racist. Just change the race of the people you're talking about and see how bad it sounds. So what if the Biden administration had said white people are getting relief first? Sound racist? I mean, it's not surprising. So many of you claim to hate racism, yet you elected the dude who wrote the 94 crime bill, which imprisoned more black people than any other bill in the nation's history, and you elected her, who is a prosecutor in California, imprisoned more black people for minor drug offenses than any prosecutor in the state's history. So if you're against racism and you voted for these two people, you're either lying or you're an idiot. Let me know which one in the comments.
Okay. The older millennial.
Yeah, no. He's a good guy. I've seen. I like his stuff,
watch
too.
if you're on TikTok. Yeah, you have to watch the older millennial. So yes, and so everything about this administration is equity, not equally. Like, oh, we're gonna divvy these out equally to the people that need it the most first, the people that are in the most need. The people. No, we're gonna do it based on equity. And then doubled down on it and said, yes, black communities get things first. That's our vice president. And dear God, possibly president for the next couple of years. Sorry,
God,
I don't think Biden's gonna last his term. I think he's going to be ousted or something's going to happen.
Oh no, 100%.
I think that's their plan with him the whole time, is to get him past the primaries, so that Kamala Harris can be president for 2 years and then run in 2 terms.
So I was watching Shipwreck when we talked with Conservative Tex and Kat. So Shipwreck, on her show, they were talking about the rabbit hole of Trump for this upcoming election. Matt Gaetz from Florida was talking about nominating Trump to become the Speaker of the House. And she's like, going over the importance of the speaker, but everyone kept missing the one thing that I called out.
Third in line.
The Speaker of the House is the third person in line for the presidency. It goes to president, vice, speaker, and then the list down there. My theory has been this the whole time. I called this out in 2020.
I was going to say, I remember you talking about this at least a year or 2 ago.
I said it would have been funny because one of the House representatives from Florida wasn't running again. So I was like, well, Donald Trump should run in his place and get in the House, become Speaker, impeach Biden and Kamala, and then he gets to serve out their last 2 terms and still has enough time on the books to run for his last 4. I honestly 100% believe it could still happen. Will it happen?
I mean, anything.
Only
could
time
happen.
will tell.
We are in the alternate universe right now. We've established that. We are in an
Oh, I
alternate
mean,
timeline.
oh no, yeah, we've I don't know how I've been having deja vu moments lately, more than I've normally had in a long time. So that Hadron Collider fucking did something.
Yeah.
But so it would be, and the thing is, like, someone brought that theory to Trump, I want to say 6 months ago, because he made a comment about it. And I died laughing because I was like, I made that comment before he even was asked about it. And I was like, the fact that more people are talking about that rabbit hole makes me feel that rabbit hole got a little wider than just a small rabbit hole.
Right.
Because a lot of people are looking at that theory. Would we want it? We had this discussion when we had what's his name? Drew on. It would have been it's a great thing. Have him up front, take all the brunt, and then drop off and let DeSantis just coast on through.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate fuck around and find out gotcha moment that Trump would have.
Yeah, well, thankfully we don't have enough people that watch this that would, from the left that would go, oh, these guys figured it out, or anything like that. But that would be.
Oh no, we probably get hit with disinformation. They're lying.
Right.
No, we're talking about a theory.
Right. We're wargaming here, so but the Ministry of Truth out there.
Well, no, it got closed down. Ministry of Truth is no more.
I don't believe that. I believe
it was.
I believe it's on pause.
No, actually everything fell through. They had to close it because it was on pause for so long.
No. They're going to try to bring it back somehow.
Somehow,
okay. Some way, sometime.
Sure.
To bring him
All
back
right.
to Ministry of Truth. Because that's what fascists do. And this administration is tyrannical. And they have to shut down people like us. Okay. Are you ready for some TikToks?
Well, I was going to do the last thing about Mr. Hunter Biden real quick, and then we'll do TikToks.
Okay.
So, I think this... I don't really want to talk about Hunter Biden. Yeah, his laptop is very deeming. But I found out, okay, so Hunter Biden was given a plea deal June of last year, and he was like, and it was like no jail time, a couple $1 million in fines, and then have a nice day. He said no to it rudely. Now, it has now come out recently that they are charging him with a lot more than just tax evasion.
Yeah. That again,
So,
you want to talk about the fuck around and find out.
You want to talk about the fuck around and find out. So, how many people forgot that Hunter Biden went to go buy a gun in Delaware and lied on his gun application?
Not only did that happen, but then he dropped it in a trash can across from a school.
Yeah.
In which the Secret Service went and took it so that nobody found out about it and tried to hide it by getting the sales receipt and documentation from the gun store.
Gun store wouldn't give it, and
nope.
It got ousted. So, and Hunter Biden unfortunately has a criminal record.
Plus,
he has a felony.
He has documented drug use.
Yep.
Federal law says
Therefore,
you cannot buy a gun if you have documented drug use.
Yep. And those are ATF laws.
Yes, federal laws.
So therefore, him buying a gun is absolutely a no-no.
And lying on the form. That's a second. That it's not just he's got it for the possession and lying on a federal form.
So, well, we're gonna walk back to his original plea deal. So his plea deal was to wrap that gun charge up in his tax evasion charges. So he said no. He said, "Good luck trying me in the state of Delaware." Well, here's the fuck around and find out. They're trying him in the state of Delaware with a Trump-appointed judge. And he says that there is enough to charge with jail time and millions of dollars in fines, like 10 to 15 million.
Which means it's already past the grand jury.
So, yeah, because there are whistleblowers that are coming forward about it. We have articles that will be in the show notes, so you can check them out. Now the judge is waiting for the okay from Marilyn Garland.
Right.
Marilyn Garland. Yeah, Mr. Garland, whatever.
That's where
there's going to be the touch and go right here. Remember, Joe Biden said the Department of Justice is their own entity and that Garland does not answer to Joe Biden.
If you could see, if you're watching the video, I'm rolling my eyes.
Question is Garland going to do the right thing?
I'm not hopeful he is, or not hopeful. I don't expect he will. Nothing that he has done so far makes me see him being impartial. Outside of the fact that it looks bad,
I see him trying to bury this. But the problem is it has now become so mainstream. If he lets this go, no one will be able to prove that. No one will not say that the Department of Justice is not weaponized by the President of the United States.
Right. I mean, Obama weaponized the Department of Justice.
So on a side note, the new Justice, Miss Brown,
Ketanji Jackson.
Yeah, Ketanji Brown. She was sworn in and she was on, and they were doing their due diligence. I saw an article yesterday. I forgot to put it in the show notes. I will have it in the show notes here in a little bit. She believes that white people can file for discrimination. Based on if you are discriminated based on if you're a white.
I'd have to see that. I expect that.
I saw that, and that was Yep, it came out 2 days ago. Let's see if I can find it's based on the 14th Amendment. It's on the New York Daily News.
Okay. I found the same one, so
because they were talking about voting rights, and then they got into discrimination, and they said that white people can I was like, isn't that interesting? I mean, we'll see how this works out, but that was a left field pass, a left field fly ball. So that would be all I've got this week. Let's get some of the videos. So let's have some fun. Laugh. What you got first, Jason?
Yeah. So first off, I've got, and I need to read that article. So
Yeah.
let's go with this one.
Wow, here's a story that's not going to be popular with a whole bunch of you. If you remember, back in June, the Supreme Court struck down a 108-year-old law in New York regarding concealed carry. Now, a lot of you are asking, well, why did they strike down a law that had been in place for so long? Seemed to make a lot of sense. Well, that's because over time, which is what happens with a lot of laws, it got abused by the government to the point where nobody was getting a concealed carry. It didn't matter what your rationale was. You weren't getting one. In fact, it got so bad that the Supreme Court realized that what New York was doing was omitting people from exercising their Second Amendment. Now, you can argue whether or not that's what the Second Amendment means. That's a whole nother debate, but whatever. Now, the state, in response to that, created a whole other set of laws to basically re-implement another version of their 108-year-old law. A federal judge recognized that for what it was and said, no, you're not going to do that. Now, some of the rules make perfect sense. Like, okay, you can't carry into a school or a government building. Of course, that's obvious. It's given. But some of them were a bit more than ridiculous. You can't carry in a congested area, like the subway. That's like how everybody travels in New York. Or parks. Really? Parks? Or Times Square. Okay. It made it a felony to go into any business that didn't have a pro-gun sign on their door. All right, now think about that. What if they just didn't buy the sign? What if they just didn't put it up? What if the sign got torn down and you walk in to get a candy bar and you're guilty of a felony all of a sudden? Oh, come on. Another one, demanding people's social media accounts preemptively. How about instead of that, you investigate the tips you get from people saying he or her have some pretty egregious stuff on their social media account. Might want to look into that. And then by far the worst, and the one that was the most eye-opening, was the person who requests one must be of good moral character. Like, what? Who makes that determination? Think about that. That can literally exclude 99.999% of it. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like, I don't think you're of good moral character. Like, okay, and what's your recourse? There is none. That's so vague. And that was a problem. That's what this judge realized New York was trying to do. Anyway, I know, again, it's not going to be popular with a lot of you. It's popular with me because, of course, I am pro-Second Amendment. Now, it's not saying I want to see a howitzer in an 18-year-old's hands, but I do believe that you should have the right to defend your life and the right to bear arms. And that is news for thought.
Okay. Good for them for striking it down. So the thing at the end about good moral character, that's what's known as arbitrary and capricious. So you can't make a law that's arbitrary and capricious, meaning that it basically goes by what I feel like today. Do I like you? Do I not like you? Are you nice to me? Are you not nice to me? It can't be like that. Because obviously anybody on the right then in New York, they would say we're terrorists and therefore we don't have good moral character according to them. Which I would argue the same thing for you. Your moral character, you want to kill babies, your moral character is awful. So, okay. Next one. Ryan, what word is this? Y-E-S.
We're not doing this game. Yes.
Spell.
I felt bad for this lady. Not
Good.
really.
Okay.
Yes.
What does E-Y-E-S spell?
Eyes.
E-Y-E-S?
Uh-huh.
That's not a word. That's not a word.
Eyes.
E-Y-E-S.
What does E-Y-E-S spell?
E-Y-S.
That's not a word. E-Y-E-S? Why are you laughing? No, I mean, you didn't think about it.
I got it. Okay, so
What does YES spell?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, you're confident about that.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now, what does EYES spell?
East. Is it a different language? Why is she making me do this? This isn't
I
real.
want to try this with my son.
Babe. Okay.
I am.
EYES.
Yes. Is it Italian? Is it Italian? Is it? Yes.
Okay.
What does that mean? Are you making me study word in Italian?
Did you graduate high school?
Yes.
Did you graduate college?
Yes.
What does YES spell?
YES?
YES.
Yes.
What does EYES spell?
That's not a word. That's not a word. It's not a real word.
Oh no.
I kind of feel for her.
I do not.
I want to try this with my son and see if my 5th grade. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? And see if he knows it. Actually, hold on. Let's
Thought
play
about
some,
doing it with my wife, and I was like, I better not.
I'm going to text him, see if he's on his phone.
It wouldn't be logical to do it on the phone. You have to do it in person, kind of thing.
Right. Well, I'm texting him on the phone to come up and try it.
No,
Okay.
we'll do that later.
Let's see here. Let's go to this guy.
And I was told to check out this bougie grocery store called Airwan, or Airwone, or Earwax. I don't know. We're doing it. I already feel underdressed. Real cute. Loud as hell in here, but it's cute. The hell is hot water? No alcohol, no calories, no sugar, no gluten. What the hell's in it? Adaptogens and nootropics. I prefer the old tropics. Y'all, what is sea moss gel? Consume 1 to 3 tablespoons or in your favorite recipes. When was the last time your recipe called for sea moss gel? 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, or feel free to substitute sea moss gel. Almond milk. Y'all, am I in the upside down? The hell is milk?
That really did say Malk, right?
It did
M-A-L-K.
say Mulk.
What in the $13 tomato?
M-A-L-K.
You make your own. Absolutely not. I'd rather be fat. Kelly, what is in your food? So far, the tomato sauce is the only I recognize I can eat. Ah, nuts. Tell me about it. What in the $30 chili? An ale. I was told I have to get a smoothie. Holy prices. I want her job. This smoothie cost $20 and took 20 minutes to make. Got the mint chocolate chip. However, it is not made with any mint or chocolate chips. I think it's 1 part Tears of Gwyneth Paltrow, 1 part Elisa Rina crop dust. Moment of truth.
That look on his face.
Oh, God. It tastes like grass and ass. But it was $20 damn, and I'm gonna drink it. What in the butthole tomato? Everyone looks like they just came from the gym.
I mean, if I pay $20 for something I don't like, I would throw it back.
$20 trail mix.
I would speed deliver it back to them.
This store is the ultimate flex. Verdict, 10 out of 10. Not gonna lie, as disgusting as this is, I want to wear Lululemon and buy $50 snacks. Find your joy.
Oh, God.
Nope, I would never go in that store.
That did say Malk. That did say malt.
Said
Almond
fucking
malt.
milk on it. Yeah, no.
Not milk. Like, I'm lactose
mean-
intolerant, so I drink almond milk. I can't stand soy milk.
Bo Bennett
or
said it
lactose-free
best
milk,
on
yeah.
the ranch. Where the fuck do you get a tit on an almond?
Oh, it's basically they grind
It's
up
almond
almonds and they put
juice. It is
water through
not almond milk. It's juice.
It's almond juice, but it's good in cereal.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
Get the vanilla flavor. It's good. I drink it alone. It's not bad. All right. Listen,
I'm gonna have to have a conversation with
I grew
Kelly
up with-
and you drinking almond milk.
I grew up drinking regular milk, and now I can't. So you know what? I'm enjoying my damn almond milk. Okay.
Oh no, I'm in the same way. I'm not very my stomach is not lactose friendly anymore. When I worked in an office, my neighbor decided to try to like prank me. Here's the problem with me. I'm very vengeful, and I'm always at work before he is. So I would always make sure to have a chocolate milk with me. And
Not
I
a
would
malt?
sit down.
Not a chocolate malt?
No, milk. And I would look at him square in the face and said, "You wanted to fuck around and find out." And the supervisor looked at me and she goes, "I sit here too." I just said, "Your collateral damage." And I swear, and it would be like death coming out of my, like, I couldn't even stand it. And I was
Our
like,
listeners are learning way too much about our bodily functions to this episode.
yeah. All right. Next video.
All right. Next one. Let's see here.
Did they not tell you why you're here? You're into redheads now.
I sure as hell am.
That was a short one. I like the look on your face. You're like, well, yeah. Always have been, so nothing's new there.
Yeah. That is never, that will never change.
Nowhere is there a guy that a redhead walks up to and says, "You're into redheads now." It's like, no, I've been into redheads forever. Like, it's a guy thing.
Yeah.
You guys are like unions.
I mean, that's why they're called the Soul Stealers, right?
Yes. Okay. These last two are kind of long, so I'll go with this one first.
Amendment is not predicated on self-defense. The Second Amendment is predicated on the right to defend the populace from government tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, when you look at it like that, what the founding forefathers were thinking was, look, if government gets out of control, we have to be able to arm ourselves in a fashion that we can actually challenge the government. Now, you look at what kind of military and weaponry capabilities that law enforcement has and the military has. So when you take away all assault rifles, you are really hindering the populace's ability to revolt. Okay. Now, you might not think it is an appropriate thing to be able to revolt against the government, but would you not agree that taking away those types of weapons from the populace would definitely hurt our chances of being able to actually overthrow a tyrannical government? It would, right? You can't disagree with that. Let's be reasonable.
Perhaps, but
on that one topic, right? You would have a hard time overthrowing a tyrannical government if we didn't have the right weaponry in place, right? If we only had handguns.
I think if there are crazy people out there that really want to do that, they're not going to use.
Let's not say crazy people, because
Yeah.
let's talk about the founding forefathers. They weren't thinking about craziness. They were thinking about, they just came from an oppressive government overseas, and this is why they're throwing that amendment in there. Because what England did was they took guns away from everybody. They took the weapons away, and then it was impossible for the people to uprise against that government. And it went on for years and years and years. And so finally, when they were able to take control and establish their own government, they said, look, we're putting something right in the first 10 amendments that will allow the people to be able to defend themselves from the government.
Right.
And so that's really the idea that's kind of lost. Now, you may take a different position, and a lot of people might say, well, we don't need to be able to overthrow the government. Well, maybe give that some real careful thought, because, I know, like, it seems like we're living in some real peaceful times, but, we weren't too far away 50 years ago or 40 years ago. When you see all these protests that come, and you see all these police show up to these protests, civil rights protests, you see what they're doing to those people, and they had to be peaceful about their protests, don't get me wrong. But that was the founding fathers' principle. And that's what the Second Amendment really stands for. And you are going against the concept behind the Second Amendment when you're saying restrict guns. And what we're really choosing is safety of the public over the ability of the public to protect itself from the government. And so the question becomes is, what's the balancing act between safety and our ability to be able to overthrow the government? And what we're leaning towards, and which a lot of countries go until it gets too bad, is government, take all the power, take all the power, take all the power, protect us, protect us. There's no such thing as absolute security.
Yeah.
Right? Absolute security means absolute tyranny. And so that's a real idea that's back there. And that's not what the conservatives are saying. They're going self-defense, self-defense, self-defense. Because this idea of being able to overthrow the government, who in government is going to advocate for a position of, just in case we get out of control, overthrow us? They're not.
I understand what you're saying.
And
I don't think.
And can I just make a disclaimer? I'm not for overthrowing the government. I don't think we should be out there revolting. But if you look through historical data in all societies, there has come to points when there had to be revolution, and that's why that amendment exists.
Holy shit! I couldn't say it any better.
I mean, but the problem is that, I mean, you got to take the crazy people into account, because the fact that it is that you have rednecks. I mean, I've seen. Have you ever gone to a pumpkin chunkin'? Man, they still have trebuchets. Fucking think about, they can launch fiery cars.
Well,
or they have air cannons.
That's a lot of people are wargaming this, and one of the things about the wargaming is that we have to have the guns and the ammunition to overthrow the government. And I know a lot on the left say, well, they have the army, they have the F-250s, they have all this stuff. It's like, yes, but they can't destroy their infrastructure. This is their own country. You destroy the infrastructure, then you can't move your stuff. You have to rebuild. You have to do all this stuff. They have to put people on the ground. They basically have to go door to door fighting. And when every door has somebody shooting back at you, that's a real problem for the government. But like he said, the whole point is that the founding fathers wanted us, the Second Amendment was there not for self-defense, not to carry a handgun in case we get robbed. It was so that we had ammunition and a weapon in our house to form a militia. A well-regulated means ready to go. A ready-to-go militia to fight against the tyrannical government. And you need firepower that is capable of doing that. And when you take away assault weapons and stuff, and you're left with hunting rifles and pistols, well, yeah, you can have a lot of people sniping, but you need those type of weaponry that can hold more than 5 rounds at a time.
All right. Last one, right?
Last one. This is another long one, but I think you'll like it. It's funny.
Okay, this is not fair.
I love this lady.
One thing is like putting a carton of mint chocolate chip ice cream in front of me and saying only.
The question is, say one good thing about Joe Biden.
I have one scoop. Yeah, no, I'm eating the entire carton. I love Jojo. I love our dear president. He has honestly done so much and taught me so much. He kind of reminds me of that cute little old man on Family Guy, and that just, loves and tries to help Chris out. But anyway, some of the good things that I just love about him. He has always taught me through example, not his words. For example, he has taught me that no matter how many times you fall down, just get right back up. He has taught me to always leave your audience speechless. Like, it's so amazing. He always leaves his audience, like, kind of thinking, like, what just happened type of thing. You never know what you're going to get. He's like the teacher that I never wanted. He teaches me that if you want to unite something, you have to actually tear it apart first. He has taught me that if you want to save more money, you have to spend more money. He has taught me to be selfless. And again, it's all about the example. He takes our taxes and gives it to a whole nother country. We don't need to worry about ourselves. Let's just send it all over someplace else. Such a selfless man. He cares about my body. Like, seriously, my weight. He just cares about it so much. Because of inflation and everything like that, I have lost a pretty good amount of weight. And it was all due to him. Like, come on. Are you president? Are you my favorite co at Weight Watchers? And he has taught me that ghosts are real. Like, on more than one occasion. Like, he doesn't discriminate. He will go and shake hands with ghosts. It's amazing, that man. I wish he was my grandpa. Because I'd say, Pop, Pop, Jojo, Pop, Pop, I love you. You're the best person ever. You're my hero. Why are you sniffing my hair, Grandpa? Oh, I don't think you. Oh, cute. Too far? No, I think that's a good place to end it.
Okay, I got an idea. I think Ben Shapiro kind of came up with this, but I kind of want to expand on it. An idea for a movie script.
Oh,
Joe
Jesus.
Biden actually has an imaginary friend that tells him what to do. And that's why every time he turns around and he goes to shake, it's that his imaginary friend is over top, is to the side of him.
Well, was it someone caught another glimpse of his card that he sits down with? And they said, oh, whoever's writing Joe Biden's cards and his teleprompter is actually who's running the country. So as soon as we can figure out who that is, then we know what's going on.
Yeah. Obama. All right. And with that, I think we should end here. All right. Thanks so
Good
much.
night.
You guys have a great one. It's going. It's not going. All right. We have no outro again.
Well, good night, everybody. I'll add it on the feed.
You all take care.